Dopamine detoxes. What are they and why should you do them? And what are some of the difficulties in doing them? So, dopamine detox, you may or may not have heard of it before. What it is it is purposely taking away artificially releasing dopamine activities or activities that release a lot of dopamine at once. So things like doing recreational drugs, drinking, watching a lot of TV, listening to a lot of music, things that you would do to get like a boost in energy that are not naturally occurring. So something that would be naturally occurring for a dopamine boost would be going for a workout or doing something hard like studying for a prolonged period and feeling that satisfaction when you're done, going and cleaning your car, doing your taxes, a lot of different things that require effort that you really don't want to do, but at the end of the day, they reward you for doing them. You feel good for doing them. So we want to focus more on those behaviors that release the good dopamine. Basically the things that are more naturally occurring, going and taking a cold shower, right? Things like that. Now you want to cut out those other activities that I listed that are artificial because it's so easy when you're feeling bad to go to the liquor cabinet and grab a few drinks or go and watch a bunch of TV, binge eat a lot of food, and it might feel good in the moment. But notice the thing is with these artificial releasing dopamine activities, you usually feel some degree of guilt or feel bad after. You eat a ton of food and you're super full, like, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that much. It's kind of the cheap hits of dopamine that you don't have to work for. And the problem with choosing to go about a lot of those artificially, the ways of increasing dopamine that are not real, the reason you want to get rid of those is because they really dull your dopamine receptors. They downregulate or decrease the amount of dopamine receptors that you have. I could stand corrected on the science. Basically, it makes it so that you can't feel as good naturally. You need more of the artificial hit, the artificial dopamine. You need more of it to feel as good as you did before when you get hooked on it. So it's just like the same thing with being a drug addict. Now, a lot of us are addicted to these things. We don't even realize that we are. We might spend our entire Saturday, Sunday, or whenever we have a break from work, just binge watching the next season of whatever TV show. And it feels good, but you realize at the end of the day, you're like, man, I just wasted a whole lot of time when I could have been doing something a little bit more productive. So it's problematic. And like I just touched on, it makes it harder for you to feel good naturally. And that's a really big problem because your motivation levels are going to be lower. It's going to be harder to get you motivated to go and do stuff, especially things that you know that you need to do. So you might rely more on coffee, more on nicotine, more on whatever stimulant or whatever artificial dopamine booster to get up and do that thing. Now, so it's really hard because we can get dopamine hits at the push of a button, being on your smartphone, scrolling, Instagram, doing all these things. So what happens when you choose to do a dopamine detox is you regain some of that sensitivity to dopamine. So things that would bore you right now, let's say you spent 30 days doing a dopamine detox where you cut out alcohol, you cut out binge watching TV, you cut out some dopamine increasing activity that's artificial, you're going to feel a little more motivated and it's going to be easier to do those things that are hard to do. And the things that you initially, before you started doing this dopamine detox, really didn't want to do or didn't get much joy out of, you're going to get a little bit more satisfaction out of it. And I've seen this be true in my own life. So going to work, Here's something I've challenged myself on, right? Waking up, taking a cold shower, earning my dopamine, not just drinking a cup of coffee, right? Earning the alertness through being super cold. It's not fun when you're doing it, but after you feel alive and a whole lot more alert. Driving to and from work, I will occasionally turn off the radio and my entire 20 commute there and back, I won't listen to any music, any podcast, anything. I'll just be alone with my thoughts, just cruising in my car. Hard to do at first, but over time when you do listen to music again, it's like, wow, it sounds completely different. It sounds a whole lot better. You cherish it a lot more. You don't take it as for granted. So, have I sold you yet? If not, then I guess I can talk about a couple more things, right? It's achievement. It's really, do you want to make yourself sensitive to dopamine again so that you can go out and you can achieve the most that you can achieve? Of course you do, but it takes work and discipline. It's not fun and it's hard. And that's the biggest kicker of doing a dopamine cleanse, a dopamine detox. It doesn't have to be over a certain period. It could be 30 days, it could be a week. I'd recommend at least doing a month so you can give yourself time to reacclimate your brain to feeling dopamine naturally and not just getting all these artificial boosters. You could adopt this as a lifestyle because you become hooked on the fact that you are more sensitive to dopamine and that it is easier for you to find motivation naturally. But that's the biggest part, is that it's hard at first because you're addicted to these things and you probably don't even realize it. You're addicted to binge watching Netflix. You're addicted to drinking. You're addicted to whatever. And I'm not saying all this stuff to make you feel bad. That is not my objective. I'm just challenging and asking you to be completely honest with yourself. Because the more honest you are with yourself, the more quickly you can start to realize, hey, I'm going to start making these changes because I've identified and have accepted that what I'm doing right now is not the best for my brain and for doing the things that I want in my life for the long term. So the choice is yours. I'd recommend you take a month where you don't completely cut out, but you eliminate. You choose a couple artificial dopamine activities. You cut them down or eliminate them for a month and go ahead and see how much more energetic you're going to feel naturally. I promise you're going to notice a difference. It might be slight and subtle, but it'll be there. And the more disciplined you are with this detox, the bigger results you're going to get. So that's all I had for you for today. Go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe if this video brought you value. I'm really hoping that it did. And we will see you in a future video. Thanks again, and bye for now.